Hello, friends. Today we will talk about the UNESCO, right? Before going into this topic, first of all, you must know about myself. So, my name is Pradeep Kumar Oja, and I did my MTech from SGS ITS Indore, and also I did my bachelor's in mechanical engineering. And apart from this, I have cracked GATE short of exams multiple times, and also, I have an engineer in force motor, which is situated in Pithampur district, Dhar. And currently, I am working as an assistant professor in engineering college in Indore itself. And apart from this, I have been teaching for civil services, a civil service sort of exams since 2 years ago, right? So, my dear friends, let's get into the topic. So, as I mentioned earlier, today we have to talk about the UNESCO, that is United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organizations. My dear students, let me tell you one thing. There are so many short exams for examples like some SSC sort of exams, banking. Here, a question many times have been asked, what is the full form of UNESCO? So here you must keep in your mind the full form of UNESCO, that is United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, that abbreviated as UNESCO. So is a specialized agency of the United Nations aimed at promoting world peace and security through the international cooperation in education, art and science and culture, right? Uh, this UNESCO organization is also a part of United Nations. The parent organization of UNESCO is United Nations, right? So next, the headquarters and member countries. So you have to focus on the headquarter. So its headquarter in situated in Paris, which is in France in Europe, right? This is also World Heritage Site, and it has 193 member nations, and 11 are the associate member of the uh, UNESCO. Here, the main motto or main focus you have to concern about the headquarters. You must remember the headquarter of UNESCO, that is Paris in France, that is in Europe continent. All right. So now let's move to the next slide. So here you can see the establishment year and director general. Dear students, here you can see the right side picture. It was she is Director General of the UNESCO, that is Audrey Azoulay. Azoulay is the Director General of UNESCO, and the tenure of the Director General of UNESCO is 4 years, right? And this woman comes from the France origin, and uh, apart from this, there are so many times question arise about the establishment year of UNESCO. So here you have to pay heat on the establishment year, that is 16 November 1945. UNESCO was established. All right. So now let's move to the next slide. Here we have to also pay heed on the about the India with the UNESCO. So when India joined the UNESCO, my dear friends, you must know India is a founding member of UNESCO, having ratified its constitution on 4th November 1949. Means, dear friends, when very first time this UNESCO sort of exams was furnished, that time India was a part to furnish this organization. It means we can say that India has been. Sorry for the inconvenience. So we will talk about the India, right? So India played a leadership role in supporting the implementation of the priorities of UNESCO in its different agendas relating to education, science, and culture. means that India has played such a great role in terms of education. What kind of education should be in the society, right? What kind of science should we teach to the worldwide, and what kind of culture? India is a full of cultural diversity. So the cultural diversity has to be spread across the boundary of nations. That's why we can come to each other and we can share our feelings, our cultural, our knowledge. So India has played such a great role in the UNESCO sort of for the organization. So now let's move to the next slide, the UNESCO's governing body. So apart from this, we should focus on the how many bodies are there in UNESCO that leads or that govern this such a big organization of United Nations. So there are a main four body which are here to govern the UNESCO. That first come in General Conference. Second one is Executive Board, and third is Director General, and fourth one is Secretariat. My dear friends, you have to focus here the General Conference. Here I have mentioned earlier that there are 193 member nations that come on the hall, and they sit together, and the all 193 member come together. The group of 193 member is known as General Conference. And apart from this, some few or some important nations member are selected for the executive board. These members come in front to execute these organizations, and in those particular members, one member has to be selected for the director general. This director general is a highly administrative officer for the UNESCO, and there is also secretariat. There is group of director general who are the subordinate of director generals, that these are known as secretariat. All right. So these four body which work for the UNESCO in main way. Now we will understand again the next, that is main objective of UNESCO. So what is the main objective of UNESCO? So very first we can read here, attaining quality education for all and lifelong learning. Means the main motto of UNESCO to get the quality education for the worldwide. If we have to find out in corner of the world, is there any country who are not getting the education? If some country are vulnerable or they are not getting the education, so UNESCO members will come forward to provide the education for that country. And that's the kind of education for education should be lifelong for the people. Next one, mobilizing science knowledge and policy for sustaining development. Means apart from this, science kind of knowledge has to be moved across the country, and the policies also be distributed for the all the member nations, due to which the development should be sustainable. Such a sustainable development, you must know that suppose you want to get you are approaching for getting something. So meanwhile, you are not going to destroy some your neighboring things or some your relative things. All things should be go ahead in a positive way. Such kind of development is known as sustainable development. So next point may be addressing emerging social, ethical and ethical challenges. So if there are some ethical challenges or ethical problems in our society, so UNESCO will come to address such kind of problems. Now next, fostering cultural diversity. Here the cultural diversity should be enhanced or should be spread worldwide. If we talk about in our India, so in our India has so many cultural diversity. Whether you talk about in language, dance, eating habits, the dressing sense. India is full of diversity in different way. You can understand. So these these cultures should be spread in worldwide, so that the people will come to the India, or people the heart of the other foreign members attached with Indian per person. So we can maintain the peace and security for worldwide. And apart from this, uh, intercultural dialogues and culture of peace. Means there should be a positive dialogue between member nations and for to get the peace and security. So these are the main objective of this organization. And maybe next, building inclusive knowledge societies through information and communication. Nowadays information and communication sort of technology has become strong, due to which we can send our knowledge, we can send our culture from one place to another place without moving physically. So this information communication sort of technology is very important for our society. The organization focuses in particular on two global priorities: Africa in racial discrimination and gender equality. Means apart from all the important things, this UNESCO organization is emphasizing on two main points. One for the African people, because African peoples are discriminated in terms of racial or in terms of color discrimination, because most of Africans are black, so some white people are hate to them. So this UNESCO will come forward to this eliminate this discrimination. So UNESCO is emphasizing on this issue. And the second is gender equality. Still there are so many countries where we can see the gender equality, where the male candidates are addressed in a positive way, while the female candidates are addressed in a negative way. So UNESCO is working for to eliminate this gender inequality, or they are moving towards the gender equality. So this is a very good initiative of the UNESCO, right? So again, some points are maybe principal functions of UNESCO. Apart from the objectives, some principal functions are there also. So prospective studies, what form of education, science, culture, communication for tomorrow's world, what all these things that I have mentioned in this slide, I have discussed earlier. UNESCO is an organization where all the member nations will they sit together, and they brainstorming on, they discuss for the future things that can maintain the peace and security. For example, what kind of education is good for our society, which science is good for us and which science bad for us. So these the difference is being created on this on that meeting. And which country has a good culture, if good culture is that culture is good for our for the nations or for the world, then that culture has to be spread worldwide. And communications, whatever things has to be done. The advancement, transfer and sharing of knowledge relying primarily on the research, training and teaching activities, right? So means whatever technology we have, we are using that technology, that knowledge, this that education has to be advanced, things has to be changed day by day, right? Or we need to share our knowledge, right? Relying primarily on the research. We must be oriented, we must be a research oriented kind of a person, right? Or we must go for the training providing to the nations in terms of science, education, culture. If these are important for the society, we must go for it. And teaching activities also. So these all about the UNESCO. I hope you people must be got some knowledge from this video lectures. So if you like, kindly like, share and subscribe my channel. Thank you very much.